sin inside the camp. We see in Numbers chapter 25 that it was a seducing spirit that brought the children of Israel down. What the men of Moab and Midian couldn't do, the women accomplished by seducing them to act in harlotry, to commit sexual immorality. And when they did so, they consecrated themselves to another god, to another form of worship. And that word joined in Numbers chapter 25, where Israel joined themselves to Baal of Peor, the term joined means fastened together or a close inseparable connection. It also means a spiritual or relational bond. Has anybody ever heard of a spiritual tie? Sometimes those ties can be a very difficult thing to overcome, as was just with the case with the children of Israel, as they yoked themselves together in harlotry with the Moabites. They consecrated themselves to another god, which may be why Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, number 14, "Do not become unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness? And what communion has light with darkness?" These things need to be dealt with, and that's exactly what Phinehas did in Numbers chapter 25, around verse number 7. He took a javelin, he took a dagger, and he drove that dagger right through the two of them that were responsible for the very act of sexual immorality at the tabernacle, which was against the heart of the Mosaic covenant. Now let's look, how does that affect us in the new covenant today if somebody commits sexual immorality? It needs to be dealt with too. It needs to be driven out. Of course, we can't drive anybody through with a dagger, but they have to understand that what they're doing is bringing sin into the camp, and it spreads. And that it spread through the camp in Numbers chapter 25. After it spread, 24,000 people had lost their lives due to sexual immorality and joining themselves to another god. Let's look at this in 1 Corinthians chapter 6. It says in verse 16, "Or do you not know that he who is joined to a harlot is one body with her? For the two, he says, shall become one flesh." Verse number 18, "Flee sexual immorality and every sin that a man does outside the body, but he who commits sexual immorality sins against his own body." Verse number 19, "Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have from God, and you are not your own?" In the old covenant, it was at the tabernacle. In the new covenant, when we do this, it's sinning against the temple.